Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat and today I want to talk to you about how I got pregnant with this little one. Of course, you can be silly about it and say, well, we know how you got pregnant. There's only a couple ways to get pregnant. What I'm talking about specifically is how I boosted my fertility, or at least things that I did that I really believe made a big difference in helping us to get pregnant after being on birth control for about 6 years. However, let me preface this video by saying I am not a medical professional and I can't promise that any of this stuff is gonna work for you, but what I'm saying is it had an impact for me, so I'm hoping that if I share these tips with you, if you're looking to have a baby, that it will help you be successful. The first thing that you have to do is stop using some form of contraception and have sex. But you have to have sex on the right days. So for me, I started using the Flow app to track when my periods were and when my ovulation was. The best way to figure out when you ovulate is just go on Amazon. They sell these big bags with multi-packs of the little test strips, and you just pee in a cup and you dip the little strip in, and depending on whether there's 2 lines, I think, or just 1 line, you're ovulating or you're not ovulating. And that's just as simple as it gets. If you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty and truly track your ovulation, then that's what you're going to need. I will say that because you are freshly off your birth control, it can be really frustrating because sometimes you'll ovulate and sometimes you won't. And if you're charting these things and trying to keep track, it can be very irregular and that can be very frustrating. So I'm just gonna throw that out there because that did happen for me. I think the best thing to do is just kind of have in mind a window of time when you think you might be ovulating, and then just try to have sex every other day around that time. That's pretty much what we did, and I think that that's what worked for me, rather than being too obsessive about the whole thing and charting all of the data that you're getting from using these strips. So, okay, we've got baby down in our laps now, and hopefully that'll be a little more comfortable for me. So the next thing, after you are not using contraception, you're having sex, and you're tracking your ovulation, so you're hopefully having sex around the right times, the other thing that I did was to focus on my physical health. Mike and I went on about a 30-minute walk every day. So we pretty much would step out the door and start a 15-minute timer and walk as fast as we could for those 15 minutes. And along the way, we're talking, we're bonding, we're talking about our day and our goals and things that frustrated us, and venting, just bonding really. And we walk for 15 minutes out, and then when the timer goes off, we turn around and go back home. And that turned into a little healthcare ritual that was also sort of tied into the emotional aspect of self-care when it comes to trying to be your best self in order to conceive, because you want to be really close emotionally with your partner and make sure that there's no blocks in between you. So I was taking care of myself physically. We were going on walks. The other thing is I was eating healthier. And I don't necessarily like vegetables. I don't like salad. I don't like green things. I'm sorry, I'm a carb girl. I could live off of croissants. However, I did start to have a nice big leafy green salad every day for lunch. And I was also having oatmeal for breakfast every day. I was having oatmeal with blueberries and nuts and not a lot of sugar. At some point in the day, I would have a green juice just to incorporate all the vitamins and minerals from more green things. And then for dinner, it was always something home cooked with some protein, with a carb like rice and beans, or like fish and broccoli and couscous or things like that. It was mostly home cooked. Now, did I still allow myself croissants and lattes and cookies and the occasional junk food with french fries and stuff? Hell yeah, because I don't believe in diets. However, what I was trying to do was focus on filling myself up with nutritious, vitamin-enriched meals, which I hadn't necessarily been doing beforehand. I also incorporated whole milk, vitamin D milk, in my diet. I stopped using almond milk because there's something to do with fertility that involves fats and healthy fats And I do have a YouTube channel that I think really helps me with all of this, and a lot of this information that I'm saying you can find in her videos. But I started drinking whole milk, I started eating almonds for a snack, and just trying to incorporate healthy fats like fish. I was eating a lot of sushi and things like that. Even if it's Kroger sushi, I mean, it's still healthy fats in the way of cheap but delicious fish. Just incorporate more healthy things into your diet. The other very important thing that I feel like I did that made a difference was cutting out caffeine. Now, as somebody who was working at Starbucks, at the busiest Starbucks in the state of Georgia during the month of December, this was a really, really hard decision for me, but I didn't go cold turkey. I started in November and I allowed myself one caffeinated beverage a day instead of just every drink I had was caffeinated, and I probably had thousands of milligrams of caffeine a day, as other Starbucks employees can attest to. Instead, I brought it down to one caffeinated beverage a day, and then in the month of December, I gave myself decaf coffee beverages for a week. Then after that, it was strictly steamed almond milk. But I did not drink any form of coffee beverage for the months of December and January. Not even decaf. And that was so hard because I love coffee. Hello. Love coffee. I did have lots and lots of green tea, hot or iced, with any kind of flavors that I wanted to add to them. Honey, lemon, other types of teas mixed in to give it a little bit of a kick, because there is a detoxing property to green tea that could possibly help out. Now we're gonna get into some of the more spiritual and emotional things like I was talking about. I will say the number one thing that I feel like led up to all of this, that I continued throughout my entire pregnancy and still continue today, is therapy. I was in therapy every week almost for years, but this was something that I felt like really helped me come to a place where I felt like I'd handled a lot of baggage that I had from the past, and I really just felt like I loved myself more, I loved Mike more, we were able to communicate better. Yes, honey. I just felt more well-rounded and more ready to be a mom. I needed to get myself to the point where I felt like I could handle the stress that was going on in life, just like regular life in general. I needed to have the tools to be able to handle that stuff and be a more well-rounded whole person, and therapy definitely helped me there. So that emotional part ties into the spiritual part. Pregnancy and birth are spiritual things, so you really have to plug into whatever it is that does it for you. For me, I'm very, very simple, and I have a very broad understanding of what the spiritual world is. So really, I just kind of talk to the universe. I like to meditate, and I love like lighting candles, things like that. So I did a lot of meditation. I did a lot of asking the universe. I started saying things like, this is the right moment. I am ready to be a mom. So there you have it. There's the things that I did that I feel helped us get pregnant within 6 months. Physical, emotional, spiritual. You want to be grounded and well-rounded as a person. But at the end of the day, my number one tip is to not obsess over it. Don't think about it so much. It's really, really hard to do, and I know people will tell you, just relax. It'll just have fun, you know, it'll come when it comes. And I'm just like, as sucky as that is to hear, especially if you're in the position where you've been trying for years, there is a kernel of truth to that. I honestly feel like once you release your grip on something, that is a huge shift in energy change that you put out into the universe. I really wanted to share that hope with y'all and say, here are some active things that you can try, right? There's no harm in trying. That is for sure. Thank you for being a part of my community. Thank you for watching this video. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I would really like that. I'll see you in the next video. Okay? Say bye. Say bye. He's sound asleep.